columnist reporting. Anderson Cooper 360, CNN Tonight, 10 Eastern.
Part of the reason this crisis occurred, if we're honest with ourselves, everyone was living beyond their means. From Wall Street to Washington to even some on Main Street. CEOs got greedy. Politicians spent money they didn't have. Lenders tricked people into buying homes they couldn't afford. And some folks knew they couldn't afford them, and they bought them anyway.
Senator Obama speaking at length today on his economic recovery plans. Let's get back to the best political team. Gloria, we're just learning now that President Bush will meet with his economic advisors early tomorrow morning. Then at 8:05 a.m. Eastern, he'll go into the Rose Garden and make yet another address about what's going on. Look, he's been doing this a lot. Today, it at least seemed to have a benefit. 900 points plus, the markets jumped up.
Well, let's see what he says to Americans tomorrow. It's clear that they're going to have other plans to rescue the economy, and we'll see what he says tomorrow. The problem for John McCain is that every day that George W. Bush is front and center in this reminds people that he's a Republican, John McCain's a Republican, and allows Barack Obama to join them together.
Let me ask you, both of you, all of you, a question I asked earlier on Pennsylvania. Polls right now, about 12-point lead in our poll of polls, 52% for Obama, 40% for McCain. Is it time, 22 days out, for McCain to do in Pennsylvania what he did recently in Michigan, concede that state and take those limited resources to other states like Ohio or North Carolina or Virginia, Colorado, states that he clearly needs? Well,
I'm not somebody who thought that he should have conceded in Michigan as early as he did. So I'd be up for him taking him from Pennsylvania and moving him to Michigan. You look, I think at a certain point, 22 days out, 3 weeks out, he's got to figure out what really works and what doesn't. I was in Iowa with him over the weekend, and he's down 10 points there, and he gave a quick speech there. So I think we're going to see him start to pare down these states even further and target more.
Because Pennsylvania, remember, went for Kerry 4 years ago. Michigan went for Kerry 4 years ago. If he carried the states that Bush carried, and that includes Ohio, North Carolina, these other states, he could get elected.
Yeah, now I'm just off the train from Philly where I was watching Hillary Clinton today, and all signs are that her backers are rallying behind Obama, looking very bad for McCain there. That said, another public pullout like he did in Michigan, it's very demoralizing for the campaign. So if he is going to pull back a little, which would be the sensible thing to do, you want to kind of
do it. I was surprised he announced that whole pullout of Michigan.
But you have to look at where he is as much as you look at where he's pulling out of, because his running mate Sarah Palin's in West Virginia, which should be a lock for the Republicans. He's going to be in North Carolina, and if he's visiting states that should be safe for them at this late date, that doesn't say very good things about what they consider.
I think Dana makes a very good point. I mean, I think it's really important. If you're going to, I would think he could pull back in Pennsylvania, but not pull out. I mean, you have another story about John McCain giving up a huge state. And people are going to start thinking, is it even worth it for me to go to the polls?
And they won't do that. They can't. I don't think they'll publicly hold a conference call to announce that they're pulling out of any state.
And then Obama will feel he doesn't have to compete there either. So to keep things, at least to keep some heat on Obama, he needs to at least make the appearance of an effort.
And it's a cliche, but 22 days in politics is still a long time. And in many other presidential contests, and we've all covered them, you see closure in those final days very often. And if Gerald Ford would have had a few more days, we don't know what would have happened. You hear those kinds of stories.
Lots of Republicans I talk to say, oh, this is like Ronald Reagan and Jimmy Carter back in '80, because Reagan made up for a very big lead that Carter had late in the game. There was a late debate. However, Jimmy Carter was part of the folks in power that people didn't like.
But there's also, I mean, the Ford comparison going back to '76, Ford closed 33 points to 2.
Right.
He did it over a much longer period of time, and his convention was in the middle of it. But I mean, you're talking about closing 6 points potentially nationally. That's not inconceivable, especially with the markets doing what they did today. If there's some stability here and it's a broader argument, it's possible.
If people become a little bit more upbeat about their economic futures.
Right, and there's the danger of peaking too early. Obama essentially in a stall offense right now. I mean, he would like nothing better than to sit there at his rallies reading the phone book and just run this thing out.
But that's why he came out with an economic plan today.
He's got to do something
and
like
that. To use a football analogy, sometimes you go into prevent defense, and you know what happens?
No, I
It
have
prevents
no
you from
idea.
winning.
The other team
Yeah,
scores.
that's what happens.
Don't ask me.
All right, guys, we gotta leave it right there. But got a lot of work to do over these next 22 days. We're getting some new information from Kelly Arena. She's standing by. What are you learning, Kelly? Because this is potentially significant on the economic front.
Oh, absolutely, Wolf. Well, according to a person who was briefed on the proposal, Treasury Department has settled on a plan to rescue credit markets that includes taking equity stakes, direct equity stakes in financial institutions.